We're going inside the song with Darren from We Are Messengers. The song is Everything Comes Alive.
Everything comes alive. Everything comes alive.
Not that it matters. My favorite We Are Messengers song. Tell me a story behind this song.
That's super cool. I'm glad that's your favorite.
Yeah.
That's like one of the oldest ever. I came to America in 2014 after an A&R guy at our record label, Josh Bailey, had heard some songs from Ireland. He asked me to come out for a week, write some songs, see did I dig it, see could I write songs, see did they like it. And I was in this would be funny because you pass this building probably a lot, the Hyatt Place Hotel in Brentwood. I was lying in bed that morning thinking, why am I here, God? And I could not get whoo out of my head. It was stuck in there. And Ephesians 2 was stuck in my head too, saying I was once dead in my sin, but God is rich in mercy. And because of his great love, I've been made alive. And not just made alive, but seated in heavenly places through Christ Jesus. So I brought it to this guy, Josh Brunley, who's become a friend. And he just brought so much joy to it. And being Irish, I was like, bro, I would write sad songs every day of the week, and he's no, bro, this is happy. Let's make this so joyful.
I was just about to say that you wrote this. The first thing that popped out is that you wrote this and you weren't like in the happiest place. It is sort of like a happy, great day song, but you were in a really kind of an uncertain place when you wrote it. I mean, it sort of came together. And it's that. Here, hold on, real quick before we go off on that. I was just about to ask you.
Yeah.
About that one part. Listen to this.
I remember how far.
So I just wanted to expand on the who.
Yeah.
And where, well, just I don't know, from, an artist, like where that came from. Was this like a noise that you made?
Yeah, pretty much in the studio. So the big thing is when you want a lyric to be heard, when you want melody to be taken in by the listener, you got to make sure that there's Steve. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. Thank you. You're awesome. I'm not sure what that was, but I appreciate it.
That's okay.
Okay, so big thing, when you want to get a lyric heard by a listener, you got to have some kind of earworm or some kind of hook. So if you listen to like country music, there's always like a big old hook in the chorus that attracts you to the words. And so for me, I use music to start conversations about life and death and everything in between and how Jesus meets us there. So I'm like, I need these people to hear this song. And do you know what people heard before they even heard the lyrics? Was whoo, whoo.
But how do you have the confidence to come in and do that? If you're like a guy that's sitting here trying to prove himself. If I was an artist, I would feel so...
Stupid.
Yeah.
Bro,
I would.
I felt stupid.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, totally. So how a song like that
But
works...
it's like a stroke of genius, so it makes the song.
It makes the whole song. You take that out, the song is... It can't... So... If you're in a studio and a guy's playing keyboard or playing guitar or you're playing that, really what it is, if you were a fly on the wall and walked in, you'd hear 2 to 3 grown men or women making random sounds with no words. Like, so if you started playing chords, you know what I'd start doing? Humming. I'd be like, yeah, oh, hey, 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 until something stuck. And then I'd be, let's put some words there. There's only one way. There's only one way to go. That's me just jamming now.
Yeah. But so is that okay, so that kind of takes me like another layer in that, is that sort of how it goes? You're like, I kind of think it's going to sound like this, but I don't really know the words. And you're kind of like, just like the way that you just sang, you're trying to kind of, you find it or it find you.
That's good.
Bit. Is that how it is?
And that's really insightful because either you find it or it finds you. And I think the great songs find you.
Well, so there's this great line of thinking. I can't remember where I heard this, but it basically says, any great idea is in the driver's seat and you're in the passenger seat. And it's like the idea comes to pick you up and they open the car and you're like, where are we going? And the idea's like, don't worry about it. Just get in.
Mate.
But when you tell the idea to get in the back seat and be like, I'll drive, that's when the idea's like, forget
That's when it bombs.
Yeah.
And so often I think in our genre, in Christian music, so often you come up with this idea, picks you up. It's like, you ready to go? And you get in there like, well, hold on, idea. Let me just tone this back a bit so we can make this sound a bit more palatable and kind of say the right words. And then the idea goes, you're a big chicken. You're a coward. You're afraid of following this. And so then I inevitably step out of the driver's seat, let the idea drive, and then we all follow. We give the idea, feed it whatever it wants. So does the idea want melody? You're going to get it. Does the idea want a beat? It's coming. And does the idea want some supporting lyric to make it feel more comfortable? Dude, I've never even talked about songs like this.
No. Well, I'm interested because I don't play an instrument, but I love music. I think a lot of people who listen to your music, listen to music in general, aren't necessarily musical.
Yeah.
But to say, hey, here's this thing that didn't exist until I made it, and it's affecting me in an emotional way, and then it's affecting you in an emotional way too. Like, it's just a really weird thing. Here, I want to play this next part.
All right, go.
I'll be with you in heavenly places. I'll be with you in heavenly places.
Bro, that's taking me back.
I'll be with you in heavenly places. Heavenly places. My heart is
So that's I'll be with you in heavenly places 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
and then heavenly places just 1 time,
Mm-hmm.
which on paper is like, you know what I mean? It's just like the same line. But so when you're in that moment and you're like, oh, I think it should sound like this, or
Yeah.
it should be like it's building to something. Like, what is that like?
So 2 versions. The very first version of this song, no one has ever heard it. It was a folk, acoustic, kind of like Mumford and Sons, and no one has ever heard that version. And when we brought this back towards the studio with a guy called Paul Mabry come in and drum on it, and Paul has produced all Lauren Daigle's records. He's like an incredible drummer, and so he brought in just this beat over that, you know, and it just changed the dynamic. And I remember singing, "I'll be with you in heavenly places." So here's where we go more Bible based. 3 is a really beautiful, perfect number in the Bible. So it's wonderful. It's a number. It's completion. It's like kind of like 7. These super important things. They say, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord," right? And so I'm going, "I'll be with you in heavenly places. I'll be with you in heavenly places. I'll be with you in heavenly places." And I was like, "That's it. It's finished." And they're like, "No, it just doesn't sound right." And so we did a 4th. So there's no structure to it whatsoever.
Here's why I think it's cool. Somebody who doesn't play music.
All right.
Is because if you are looking for you know, if a lot of people who, unlike most songs and music, I think people come to Christian music or a Christian radio station because it's purposeful. They need something,
Aye.
right?
Agreed.
So, like, if God was like really trying to get my attention, it almost felt like that's how he would do it. He would say something like over and over, like almost like he was shaking me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what I got to do to break through the noise.
That's good.
And it was over and over. Anyway,
Repetition.
That's not what you were thinking, but it's
But it's
isn't
the
that
idea.
interesting?
The idea was driving. You're right, bro. I've got this stuck in my brain now. This was 2014, before I even knew how to write songs properly or structure songs well. I allowed the ideas to drive. And as our career has gone on over the last 5-6 years, it's funny how you start to trust the idea less and you start thinking, well, hold on, idea. What if we did this or what if we did that? And in this past season, really since Maybe It's Okay, we've went back to going, the idea is king. The idea is king, because that's the heavenly piece of all of this.
That's it.
You know?
See, now I'm tracking with you. That's how I am. Because I'll you ever get like an idea or like for this song, you'd be like, this is so good. I get like a little antidote. I'm like, I'm going to say this in between 2 songs, this is going to be hilarious. And then I'll get in here and it comes time to do it. And I'm like, oh no, this is terrible. But I'll do it anyway. And it's great. Is that what it's like when you're like recording a song? You're like, this is the hotness. And you get in there, you're like, oh, I don't know.
Mate, I played a little snip. I've got like 10 songs on my phone we just recorded. And I think every one of them has an incredible idea. But the idea might be perfect and wonderful, but unfortunately my artistry or my ability is not. And so I've managed to mess up a lot of wonderful ideas simply because, here, this is going to sound strange. Simply because I'm really limited, right? No one's ever heard me say this. I'm really limited in my vocal range between low and my high register. I'm really limited with articulation. I'm really limited with melody. I'm limited in all of these areas. And so I think I've messed up a lot of really good songs. But the graciousness of God is that every now and then he'll break through with a song. He'll be, this is the song. These are the words. And this is how you're going to sing it. And it just happens. Maybe It's Okay was written in 15 minutes. Everything Comes Alive was written 15, 20 minutes. Love, same. Power. Dude, Power, that song, yeah, no one knows this. We wrote a song that morning. It was so terrible. I almost wanted to quit writing music. Me and Kyle are driving home back to Spring Hill. I'm like, bro, you want to try one more? And he's like, I don't know. That was so bad. And we went upstairs. He played 4 chords on a piano. I'm like, we got the power, that power. We wrote that song pretty much in one take all the way through. So
it's because you wore yourself out in the other one. So the idea had no choice but to just do the driving at that point. You're like, I just don't have the energy. Idea, you're going to have to take us there.
You need to do a podcast called Let the Idea Drive.
We're kind of doing that right now.
I know, but that's a whole
All
series.
Right. I got another part I want to hear you explain. Right. Listen to this.
You're the song rising from my heart. Everything comes alive.
Why did everything drop out right there?
Ooh, that's good. So it's like
that's like a big moment. That's like towards the beginning of the song.
Mm-hmm.
But everything kind of goes silent. You remember the moment you're like, oh, guys, we should just like.
I do. And it was for emphasis. It was like when you're about to say something really important, you need to stop talking for a minute. You need to have a period at the end of that. You need to have exclamation marks. And then there needs to be a moment where people go, oh, what is it? What's he about to say?
The verbal equivalent to me going, wait until you hear this. Okay, and then I say whatever I'm
exactly.
Yeah.
Now I'm in. Yeah. And you can tell me anything that moment, I'm going to be surprised by it.
So that's really intentional. That's an intentional move, because that's like the only moment in the song where that happens. That.
See, when we write songs, nothing's very formulaic. We are messengers, so we kind of rip up rhythm and time signatures and cadence because we're really trying to draw attention back to the idea, back to what we're really wanting people to engage with. And so music is the vehicle to do that. And that's why I love that we're talking about this, because again, in our world, a lot of the time people will only ever talk about the meaning of the song. And I love that because I'm all about the meaning. I'm all about what's God going to do. Bro, do you realize how many thousands and thousands of hours we sit noodling on guitars and pianos and drums and synthesizers? And it's almost like you come back to talk about music like, well, tell me about Jesus. I'm like, bro, you know what I think about Jesus. We all know this. Can you at least give some credit? Because behind us, there's musicians, and there's producers and co-producers and engineers, and people are creating real art. And I think the greatest disservice our genre has ever been the subject of is this idea that Christian art is not excellent. And that's not true. And if it isn't true, it's because we have bowed to the idea that we cannot be excellent, because if we're too excellent, people won't hear the message. I don't see Jesus rocking that. Jesus was excellent in everything he did. See all those pauses, those creative pauses? There's Jesus noodling in the sand.
But do you go, wait, okay, and this will be it, and then we'll play the song, and then we'll wrap. But do you go, oh, guys, I think this needs a pause right here? Or are you just kind of like playing it, and you go, oh, wait, hey, let's try, like, does it just sort of come to you in an instant?
Yeah.
Or are you more like, guys, we're going to have to figure out how to, like, do a dramatic pause here? Is it strategic? You know what I mean? Is it more like you're playing basketball and this is a set play?
And
I want you to set a screen and then he's going to come around? Yeah. Or is it like a busted play and then all of a sudden you just alley-oop to your teammate?
Yeah, it's a mix of both. So you'll hear on songs, you'll hear ad-libs. So, for example, the end of Maybe It's Okay, the last 4 lines, if you go back and listen to that song, weren't in the song until I was standing in the recording booth and I sang them crying through those words, and they ended up in the record. So that's an example of that was completely off script. But the other things, it's more so when you're playing basketball, CJ, you know where your teammate's going to be, right? You know where he's going to receive that ball. So instinctively, you know this is where we're going because we're going to make that, basket or whatever you call it in America, score a goal in Ireland, right?
Yeah.
You know what's scoring a goal in basketball. But yeah, you know it. And then it happens and everyone high fives and you go, that's incredible. And then you listen to it in your car and you go, this sucks.
Well, that's it. I'm going to let you intro it.
Nice.
We wrap up. Now you've gone inside the song with Darren from We Are Messengers. And you go ahead and play DJ right here, man.
All right. Well, you want to intro this?
Yeah, just intro it and we'll just get out of here and let them jam.
You want me to look here?
Yeah, right here. This guy.
All right. Hey, guys. It's Darren from We Are Messengers with a clean shave, looking fresh. partially homeless. I'm with that's it, homeless. That's not a word, homeless. I'm with CJ. This is our song inside the song, Everything Comes Alive by us. Nar Nar.
In the morning when my heart is cold, you're the heat for my weary soul. You're the good in all I know. In the mirror all that I see is your grace looking back at me. I'm not the man that I used to be. You're the song rising from my heart. Everything comes alive. Everything comes alive. Everything comes alive. Everything comes alive. And you. In the evening when my bones are tired, you're my strength and my heart's desire. You're the light when the sun expires. I remember how far I've come. I'm not lost with you, I'm home. I didn't find you on